I guess from a maturity perspective, US, UK, the traditional geographies, Europe, are kind of safe bets for a lot of brands and a lot of loyalty programs. I think where I'm seeing some exciting things developing are definitely in Asia, particularly out of Singapore. I'm seeing some great stuff happening in Bali from a startup perspective. And I'm also, and all of us would expect China to be on that list because of the sheer rapid, pace of expansion. But for me, that feels a bit like an inaccessible market. I think to get there and take part of that play requires a huge effort. So I think Asia is certainly for me a big market. Australia, although a small market by size in terms of population, I think is really quite exciting too. And there are some pretty interesting, refinements of loyalty programs going on there too, worth looking at. So stability in the current market, US, UK, and Europe. But don't forget to look out towards Asia for something which is a bit more inspiring, I would say.
The forefront of innovation over the years, loyalty has made a lot of money for a lot of people. The issue is within places like frequent flyer programs, although it's been very profitable, it's been underinvested. So I don't see massive innovation coming out of the frequent flyer space. Where I think the innovation is going to be next year is in the more forward-thinking retailers starting to apply new technologies and new techniques to loyalty in order to break out of the ho-hum of the pack. And by that, you see things like Starbucks and Odyssey and Web3, and they're investing in looking at NFTs and how NFTs can help them do things best. You also see programs like Joe and the Juice who are a coffee and convenience retailer. And they have really pushed out gamification and all the integrations of an understanding that if you're going to be in the mobile space, you're really in the entertainment industry, not the loyalty industry. And what you then need to do is make sure that your program is entertaining and not just functional. So I think where the innovations are going to come from is from retailers who really get technology and loyalty and how you interact with customers. But I don't see that massively across the piece, because retailers, in my experience, have a vast range of technical capability, being from the ones who are using all the data and interacting with customers and have all the funky interactions with like apps and everything, to ones that still struggle with even understanding their SKU level data. So it's a huge, broad mix. So I think my take from that is to make sure, I see it like a conveyor belt in an airport, where you get these conveyor belts moving you along. You have to be just as far along the conveyor belt as your brand is, and make sure you're moving your brand as quickly as possible down that line. But it's a very, very broad space.
Actually, there are already many industries in Turkey where loyalty solutions have been established for a long time, such as energy, fuel and gas, airline, banking, and retail. But I think e-commerce companies are much more on the forefront of innovation of campaign execution, supported with personalization and analytic tools. Their difference or challenges is that until this time, they were using these technologies much more for acquiring new customer or cross-sell, and relatively less for the retention. It will be enough for them to focus on their existing customers and put into action their loyalty mechanics. Since this year, most of the companies are very... Actually, let's start from the beginning. In Turkey, we don't have a data issue because GDPR law is quite different from European Union. So we have the data of the consumer, we know the consumer, we have let's say, we have the data system built already. And since now, we were always doing some analysis from customer persona or customer purchase behavior, customer engagement behavior, etc. We are very used to that. Since 3-4 years, all the companies have data analytics tool and very well known like ClickView, SQL, etc. So they are using in very high rate. But since now they don't work to predict the customer behavior. They are working from the data analysis. They are working for planning the next step, but the prediction and the realization, it's very different. So in 2023, from machine learning, actually, we are trying to build a customized, personalized life cycle for each consumer, each member, each loyalty member. And our challenge is to predict the next purchase step or next engagement with the brand. So that's why the past data, it's important to work for the prediction, but since now the companies were focused to the past data for having next actions, but it was not personalized. It was a raw campaign execution. But with machine learning, we will focus on personalized prediction and to trigger right offer at right time.
You know, the different industries involved, I mean, virtually every industry is involved in loyalty marketing one way or another. And over the last 4 to 5 years, we've seen a massive growth in B2B loyalty programs as well. So not only spanning, you know, telecommunications companies, utility companies, retail companies, travel companies, banks, and virtually every other sector that, you know, is involved in loyalty marketing. I can't say that any particular industry is ahead of the others, or at least not sort of achieving the optimal level of customer engagement. And so I think a lot of the bigger programs that have been around for 8 or 10 or even 20 years are still playing catch up. And in many cases, it's their existing technology stack that's holding them back. And so any loyalty system that was deployed 8 or 10 years ago arguably was built on legacy architectures, probably has very significant maintenance costs from the vendors, and is inherently inflexible because of the monolithic structure of the different modules, you know, that operate a loyalty program. And so I think we're going to find that companies do start adding more microservice-based loyalty technology, typically in front of their existing legacy system. So if they can add cloud-based modern technology in front of the legacy system, the new technology can breathe new life into an aging system, which sort of delays the need to replace a large loyalty system. And replacing loyalty systems can be a very complicated and expensive project that often takes 18 to 24 months. And so in an economic recession, brands are not going to want to embrace that level of expenditure or disruption to their business. And therefore, I think we're going to find companies are delaying the replacement of legacy systems, but they will proactively start putting new cloud-based technology in front of their legacy system, you know, to breathe new life and extend the useful life of that technology.
I would say there are two. One is airlines, some airlines, right? Some airlines are really visionary in this, and some airlines have, there is a joke going, and it's only a semi-joke in the loyalty industry, that many airlines should actually rework the whole thing and not be an airline with a loyalty program, but a loyalty program that has an airline. And some of the airlines are seeing this, right? So they are doing a really good job. Another one that's doing that is doing a really good job, and that's not because they picked us, but that's a scheme like Visa. Visa is seeing that loyalty is an important part of the offering they have, and that's why they're building out and doing new things in that space. So those two industries or players would be the ones I see as the most innovative.